Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up, my G.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 days a week. Every hour, every minute, every second, night after night. I'll be loving you right 7 days a week. Yeah. What's good, everybody? We're rocking with the Jungkook from BTS. We're not playing his song because, we don't want to get in trouble for a copyright infringement. However, they didn't say that we could sing the lyrics, so I think that we're pretty good and we're in good standings. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the voice. You will know right now that I am the number one choice. This is your host, Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation. And yes, we are rocking not only a BTS song, member of Jungkook, but we are here creating another episode that is the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. And yeah, it's good to be here, back in the booth, in the studio, right here in the Asian Sensation Studios. Still in the beta room. We're still in the beta room. We're waiting for the multimedia room to get fixed. And a quick update on that. It's really going well. And I think from what I was talking about with the project manager and the head foreman, that we should be operational within another maybe week, 2 weeks tops. And I just said, well, if it's going to be 2 weeks, you might as well take the 2 weeks just to make sure that everything is 100% correct, that there's no mistakes, everything is good, everything is exactly where it needs to be. So take that extra time, just to make sure that everything is exactly what it needs to be, according to the blueprint, according to the plan. Because, one false move, in the setup and the build-up and everything, and, everything just goes, straight down to heck, So I don't want that. I really want things to be in a good position, So that's the way that I see it. That's the way that, my opinions are, and I'm sticking to it. So. Yeah. Big ups to Hector for actually, helping us out. He was here earlier today, but he had to actually leave a little bit earlier, as well, due to just, he had some kind of medical appointment or something like that. I mean, nothing too much. I think it's just one of those things that, when you get up in age, you require a lot of maintenance and a lot of care and a lot of, making sure that everything is good. So we just wish Hector the best of luck and hope everything is well, and just come back real soon, man. I mean, again, nothing bad or anything, so we wish nothing but love and respect for Hector. That's our guy, that's our dude. That being said, guys, we are here in the month of July, or at least when you hear this, we are in the month of July, and I got to say that the summer really felt like it was gone by really quickly. I mean, it almost seems like yesterday it was just about to be the beginning of June. We were in the end of May, and things were really nice, and we just started to go into June, and now we're already in July. So man, time flew. Time really flew, and I'm not mad about that. I think it's really cool that we were able to do what we needed to do. And we were just able to enjoy our summer. And, this summer so far really has been a blessing, for me personally, being more proactive in podcasting and just making, more content on a frequent basis, which I will touch on in a little bit in a second. But yeah, it just feels right. It feels awesome. And, as a content creator, as a podcaster, this is stuff that you live for. And I love it. I love all of my creative mediums, and I love all the arts that, I surround myself with. because it's something that makes me feel alive. It's something that makes me feel happy. And I feel like it's also very therapeutic in a way. Like acting, my first love, and it'll always be my first love because I always loved acting, and I still want to pursue that, especially in a professional level. Martial arts, I grew to love it, and it's done so many great things for me in my life that, I could never let that go. And I love training, and I just love learning my art, learning new arts, learning things I didn't know. And that's the cool part. That's the challenge, that's definitely what's what. And last but not least, I love podcasting. I fell into it. I adapted to it. It slowly took a while, but it eventually won me over, and I feel good. So I feel really good. Going into talking about podcasting, this one's going to be, at least this segment, I want to talk to all my fellow podcasters out there, all my fellow brothers and sisters that, step into the booth, step right in front of the microphone and just record your content and saying what you got to say. And I just want to forewarn people that I say this out of respect about what I'm going to say. It's not my intent to be malicious in any way. And this is not a thing where I'm trying to, kick people down. You know what I mean? So I just want to start by saying that before I get into it, because I know sometimes when you say something, there's a lot of people that take things way out of context, and there's people that overthink it. And, it just really sucks when people try to bend your words into a meaning that you had, like, that was not even the intent, but you still do it anyways because, you feel like that was your interpretation and your interpretation is the correct way. Well, I'm just here to nip it in the bud. So you heard it here first. I'm just going to say it like this. When it comes to a lot of my fellow brothers and sisters in the podcasting arts, I support them, and I think they're amazing people, and each and every one of you guys definitely has a purpose to create great content because, whatever content that you're creating, it has to impact somebody in a good way. Someone out there, a loyal listener, somebody that, probably likes and subscribes to your podcast, listens to it religiously, and they get something really good out of the deal. And with that, I feel like, okay, that's cool, because your words are really touching the life of that person. That person's like, man, like really hanging on to every word. And that's not bad. Not bad at all. But this is where it does get bad. Us as content creators, we do have a responsibility. You know what I mean? I always say, like, podcasting is like a TV show. You tune in every week, and it's a brand new episode. You know what I mean? And you always want to know what's going on. And you're dialed in, and you're invested in the plot, and you really want to know what happens. And then when that's over, you're like, oh man, this is great. Oh my goodness, I wonder what happens next week. Are they going to change the plot? Or are they going to do this? Or are they going to go another way? Either way, you're tuned in, and you can't wait because you're a loyal fan. And to the crowd out there, to the people that, to the subscribers and the listeners and the audience out there, that is definitely your right to tune in and dial in and be a fan. And as us, the content creators, it's our privilege and our civic duty to continue to make great content for all those loyal listeners and fans and audience members out there. But now I am not saying that, what to do when it comes to creating your content, because I feel like there's no right or wrong way to create whatever it is that is your content, because each and every person is different in that way. the way that I create content and what I spit out on my podcast show is going to probably be different than, the next person. There could be, example, there's going to be people out there that make content and podcast episodes about the martial arts. Some may have podcasts about the acting arts, and then there's some that do, an art podcast about painting or sculpting or coloring or color theory or, just general art. And there's some people that talk about sports and then, unfortunately, there's going to be some podcasts out there that talk about politics and religion, which is their right. It's their podcast. They can do whatever they want. And they create the content. Good on that. Good on them. Good on everybody. Good on everybody. But this is what I'm getting at. What if, for some weird reason, you stop creating and you don't create for a while? That, to me, in my opinion, and I'm only saying this as, strictly my opinion, I feel like that might be a problem. Now, there's a different situation if you actually, tell your audience, whether if you tell them vocally like how I am, if you tell them vocally that you're going to take some time off and then your intention is that you'll be able to come back within like a few weeks or a few months, and then, we'll just, take it over from there and reassess and just make more content that way. Or if you post like a message on your social medias, we have the power of like Facebook and, Instagram and Twitter, now known as X. We have all of those things. Do I dare even say Snapchat and TikTok? We have that power of communication. And if you leave a message that way and let them know, hey, we're going to go ahead and take a break this way, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks and a couple of months and we'll create more content, that's another thing. But to actually be that person that all of a sudden you had a lot of great steam, and you create content on a regular basis, and all of a sudden you stop. That was a little bit concerning. Now, it could be a lot of reasons, and I get that. Some people need to relax, and some people need to recharge, or maybe they're a little bit like out of ideas. So then the podcasting, the podcaster's block comes into play. From the creators of writer's block, there is a podcaster's block. It's basically the same thing where, every time that you're trying to come up with an idea and execute it, it just goes wrong and it's a total complete blank. Or sometimes you can't even come up with any ideas at all, which is unfortunate. It does happen. But guys, again, we must emphasize that us as content creators are out there to, touch the lives of the people worldwide, to build our general audience and to build our, loyal fans and subscribers and listeners, because that's what we do. Also, our job is to make sure that we create content for those listeners, you know what I mean? And make sure that that listener, when they listen to your content, that they leave happy, or they're smiling, or they're laughing, or they can take one good thing out of it. But if you don't do that on a regular basis, that's an issue, because then it starts to be like you're kind of fading away from the limelight. If you want to stay relevant, if you want your podcast to actually, build up on some steam and collect even more, then it is my suggestion. I'm not saying that it's what you should do, but it is under my suggestion that I think that you really owe it to your fans to try to make content a little bit more frequently. There are some people that make, podcasts like once a week. And if you take there's 4 weeks in a month. And if you make one, out of like 4, every 4 weeks, for every week. Let me restate that. If you make one episode every week for those 4 weeks, in that month you made 4 episodes, right? Not bad. Some even do more. Some make 2. Some make even let's say 3 episodes in 1 week. So if you think of it this way, there's 4 weeks, and every week I'm banging out 3 episodes. So that means I made 12 episodes in 1 month. Hey, now you're picking up even more steam. You know what I mean? Now, I know there's a lot of things that come into play. You know, some people might need to find a little bit more time. You know, some people may not have as much time. Some people work on a different type of style and a different creative process. And that's to be respected. You know, it really is. But the bottom line is that if you don't frequently put out your content, you're basically going to be left in the dust, you know. And if you want your podcast, and if you want you as a podcaster to stay relevant and to still be noticed in the game, you got to continue to make some stuff. You know, you got to make that content, those episodes, and, you know, keep on cranking it out, you know, day in, day out. Now, I know a couple of good people that have great podcasts, and some of them, unfortunately, had took a little bit of a break. They said that we're going to take a hiatus, we'll be back, and it'll be cool. Two years later, I'm still waiting for, you know, that new content. And it's like, you know, I subscribe to this podcast, let's say, and I like the host. And I think the host is an amazing person, and they, you know, she does a great job, her and her co-host, and they really, they got a lot going on. They have a lot of great natural talent. They have a great following. People, you know, from what I understand, when they do their thing, a lot of people support it. And I'm like, okay, that's what I'm talking about. That's what's up. But unfortunately, there are those situations where, yeah, it just gets a little bit, you know, messed up, fudged up. And yeah, I don't know what more I can say other than the fact that, you know, it's not cool. It's not cool at all, you know. So, I just hope that, you know, for those type of podcasters out there, you know, I just hope that, you know, you guys will get back into it. You know, I would hate to see a waste of great talent and potential, you know, over a very good podcast show and a good podcasting product. You know what I mean? So for those that are, you know, taking their time and they're still not making any episodes, know that we support you. We love you. We want you to get back into the game. You know, if it's just a time thing, I get it. If it's something else, we just pray for you. We really do. We want you to be in a good mindset. Most importantly, and I think this is a little bit greedy on my part when I say this, we just miss your awesome content, you know. So guys, keep creating and keep doing what you're doing, but please do it on a frequent basis so that, you know, your podcast and you are not forgotten. Because I made that mistake. I took a little time off. You know, I didn't take like a year off, but I definitely took like a majority of like a couple of months without, you know, really saying anything. And from what I heard, a lot of people were asking questions about why am I not making any content. And I got to tell you, it was a lot of reasons. I was burnt out. I didn't have any ideas whatsoever. Like literally, the podcaster's block really hit me like a sack of bricks. And I just didn't know what I was going to do, you know, bottom line. So I really had to take a long time. But I got back into it, and when I did, and I started to be a little bit more frequent, at that point, I was like, okay, you know, now this is what I'm talking about. We're back into the game, so we're doing it. We're really doing it, and I'm just glad to have stuck with it, you know. So there it is. But we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of break. When we come back, we're going to actually have more content and talk about more things, a new segment. And, of course, we have our very famous segment that everybody loves. The Q&A session will be coming out a little bit later on. So stay tuned, guys, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience will be coming back. We'll be making great content still, and it's going to be awesome. So, guys, we'll see you in a bit, and yeah, let's just keep it rocking and rolling.
Ever wanted to make a podcast but didn't know how to do it or where to go? Does the idea of pursuing podcasting sounds great, but you're afraid of the expenses that you have to invest in? Then look no further than Spotify for Podcasters. They have the tools that you need to create the perfect podcast episode that you want, whether if you want to create it in an audio and or video podcasting form. To those that already podcast, Spotify for Podcasters can help you upload your already completed audio/video podcasts to all of the podcasting platforms that you have a membership to. And the best part is that this is 100% free. No hidden costs, no monthly fees, because you don't have to give them your credit card information, and because Spotify for Podcasters want to help by giving back to everybody. So check them out at podcasters.spotify.com and download their app for free on the Google Play Store and or the Apple App Store. Spotify for Podcasters.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We had a great intermission, and now we're back at it again with the second segment. I'm going to go ahead and try to jump into it right now because, honestly, of all the segments and subject matters that I've covered throughout all of the episodes I've ever done throughout all the seasons of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, I have to say that this one's going to be a little bit challenging. Daunting, maybe, but it is challenging. There's a lot that's going on here. So I'm going to do my very, very best in order to make sure that I get this done right and I explain it right. Now, I might give you a little bit forewarning that I might be a little bit repetitive in certain areas, and the subject matter may go around the grid and beyond it. So I want to apologize in advance, but I definitely will do my best to go ahead and explain everything and so forth. And I'm going to go ahead and announce that for this segment, I wanted to call it that no two exercise styles are the same. So basically that means that different exercises are for different people for their own goal purposes. You know what I mean? Now, let me start from the beginning. When you're thinking about exercising, a lot of people are wondering, well, I know what the action of it is, but what do you mean by exercising? Well, it's an activity that requires a lot of body movement to get the blood flowing and to tone the body. And then when done frequently and with the correct form, then the results usually meets the satisfaction of the person that is exercising. So just because you think that you do a lot of exercising, but you don't do it correctly and you don't do it the way that it's supposed to be, doesn't mean that you're going to get the, it does mean that you did work, but you're not going to get the results that you want. You have to do it the right way the first time and make sure that, each and every part of the body does get that proper work. Now, when it comes to, exercising, there are three kinds of individuals. Now, I'm not trying to insult anybody here. I'm just stating, what I've seen and a little bit of, common sense. So I'm going to go ahead and try to explain the three individuals. So here we go. You got individual number one, and that individual is the one that loves the physical challenge and is willing to take that exercise to the highest level capacity. Usually this person's like in real good shape, you know what I mean? Overall, really good, toned up. they or like they're in very good shape where like, they keep their body moving a lot and they have good endurance and so forth. They're willing to go ahead and do whatever exercise that it is, take it to the limit, to the way that's supposed to. Like example, if there's somebody that's a real strong guy and just does like a lot of lifting, they may want to go ahead and try to challenge themselves. They may start out by lifting 135 pounds and then go their way up to 200, up to 300. Sometimes they could, if they have that strength, they could probably press up to 500. It does happen. So there you go. I mean, talk about like, the Herculean muscle man, or just somebody that likes to work out, like, who runs a mile and then goes for 2, and sometimes they want to go all the way up to like 20 miles. It happens. Now, individual 2 is the individual that does their best but cannot, because it's something that they don't normally do or engage in. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't share the same kind of spirit that individual number 1 has, but to the counterpart of number 1, they're not physically gifted, and they're not as strong, and they have to take things super slow, which, in some cases, hey, you have to start somewhere, right? You have to start at a level that's very comfortable, that when you engage in the physical activity and when you're actually doing it, even let's say if it's at level 1, it makes sense for them to start out and to build that confidence, and at least it keeps them going. So there you go. Last but not least is the combination of the two. And that individual is what I call the 50-50 person, or the hybrid, which is basically a mixture between individual 1 and individual 2. Yes, they have all the good attributes of, the first individual, where they love the physical challenge and is willing to do the best that they can. However, they're not as strong as they are, but they're not so well off. They have some experience, unlike individual number 2, but that doesn't mean that they want to go ahead and aim to be that type of person that is, that loves the physical challenge and is willing to take on those exercises to the highest level. So, those are the type of 3 people that are out there when it comes to fitness and exercising. Now, what do all of these individuals have in common? Well, believe it or not, they all put in the effort to do the best that they can. So, for the work that they have to do physically, so that when they do the challenges, not only they challenge themselves physically, but they'll be able to conquer the challenge, or at least give 100% effort into the challenge. And that's fair. Everybody wants to, stay in shape and feel good and try to accomplish whatever exercises needs to be done. It's that, it's like the martial arts, they share that warrior spirit, that never say die attitude. They just have it instilled in them. Now, this is where it gets a little bit technical, in my opinion, where different people of different levels of fitness may sometimes need to modify their workout routine. Everything to the kind of exercise that you will do, to the level of the intensity that you will do, the repetitions, and etc., etc. No workout program is ever the same for all of the individuals, because they vary. But it still means that everyone that engages in the workout will still put in that effort and put in the work. And it's all about finding a workout routine that is best suited for the individual. And I'll give you an example. Say somebody, has a heart condition, you know what I mean? And they're not in the best of health, but they want to engage in an exercise routine to kind of build their longevity, or at least try to. So let's think about it. strength training may not be as, in the menu that they want. They could probably do some strength training, but it's probably going to be like very light. You know what I mean? And that's fine, because all you're trying to do is just get basic power and toning in the body to the point that, it starts to feel good, and it starts, your body starts to feel a little bit more tight. But you're not going to go ahead and do heavy weights. You know what I mean? You'll probably start out by benching 45 pounds, which is still cool because, it's still a movement. You probably might do some resistance band training, which is kind of utilizing the strength portion of traditional lifting, but more of a aerobic kind of activity where you're stretching your body as well. You know what I mean? So there's more aerobic movement, And with that individual, they may want to concentrate a lot about cardio. Now, depending on the individual, if they want to run, that's definitely cool. Sometimes they may be able to do a mile or two, no problem. Maybe they just don't feel like running is in their cards. So maybe they'll substitute it for something a little bit different, like walking, walking around for 2 or 3 miles, or bike riding, which is also a great challenge. Elliptical. Just go ahead and doing the elliptical machine where you're walking, but it's kind of like you're going up and down, up and down, up and down. And other cool things like, maybe a Stairmaster or stair climber, swimming, things of that nature. Even if for people that like combat sports, like punching the punching bag, that's always good for cardio. Then you have your powerhouse people that want to have a routine for them. You know what I mean? So low on cardio, although cardio is, important, but they probably wouldn't have a heavy emphasis on that. But they would have a lot of heavy emphasis on types of lifting, bench press, incline, decline, flies, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And shoulder presses, bent over rows, squats, things of that nature, and they're probably going to go ahead and lift, a lot of weight for each exercise, which I don't blame them, because their purpose is that they want to actually be as what the people would actually term the phrase swole, which means that they want to get big, and they want to get defined, and they want to get buff, and they want to really see those power man results, and those freakish bodybuilding results. That's no problem there. For the in-betweeners, the 50-50 people, the hybrids, they want to go ahead and be like a jack of all trades. You know what I mean? So it's, at least in my opinion, I see that a lot of them do a lot of cardio and so forth. And some people may do things of CrossFit, things of that nature, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it does get the body moving, and, at the same time, there's got to be some science into the strength training, so more power to them. And yeah, I think it's good. And again, everybody's exercise routine is going to be different for the needs that they want. And no two exercise styles are the same, and they're not going to be effective for all people. They usually say that with results, they may vary. And whatever it is that you're trying to do or what you're trying to achieve, certain exercises are probably not going to be for that person. And that's okay. And the intensity, it's going to be different for everybody. Some is going to be a little bit harder than others, and some might be a little bit more comfortable. That's still okay. The most important thing, at least in this avenue, is to keep the body moving and keep the body flowing, because again, exercise, we're all just doing every type of movement possible to get the blood flowing, to make sure that our bodies stay well maintained and well healthy. You know what I mean? And exercise is definitely one of the key elements in order to help maintain good health and to reverse the aging process, if you will. The other part, which is dieting, we're not going to even talk about because that's not for this episode. That's probably going to be for another episode, but that's also important, and I do believe in that. What's that philosophy? You are what you eat, and your body can only put in the top quality it can with what you give it. So, basic health 101, if you give your body the right type of fuel and you give it the right type of, vitamins and nutrients that it needs, then your body's going to actually thank you for that. And it'll actually benefit a lot better. And sometimes, in some cases, in dieting, it actually might help you out in the long run to lose weight, or at least keep the weight in a very good standing and a healthier way. If you feed it the junk, you know what I mean, like a lot of junk food and just things that are just like really will do a number on your body, and it's not good in the long run, trust and believe it's going to be really bad. It's almost like saying that, it really is important about how you maintain a car and, how, what stuff that you give it, like the type of oil that you give it, the type of oil filter, and just the maintenance and everything of that sort. If you stay on top of it and you give it good stuff, you're going to be fine. And your car is going to have a lot of longevity in the long run. If you give it bad stuff or generic stuff or stuff that does not make sense, that car is going to shut down. So a little bit of some words to live by and some advice. Again, it's just advice. It's just something that is coming from an opinion, not coming from a fact. So take it for what it's worth. If you do, just know that the results aren't guaranteed. And again, it's just an opinion. If you need to know more about these type of things, I would definitely talk to somebody of like a physical trainer or something like that who specializes in this field. And, you can get some advice from them and see what they say. And most likely, they're probably going to say the same thing that I am. Or if not exactly the same thing, then different variants of it where, this point and this point, they'll probably say the same thing, but, due to their knowledge and their extensive training, they may say something different. So, but yeah, wow, I think I actually did a lot better than I thought I would. Ah, man, I'm just really happy. I'm very, very happy. This is great. We're going to go ahead and take a moment. We're going to take 5. We're going to come back. And then when we do come back, the greatest segment known to man here on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience makes its way. Yes, the question and answer Q&A forum. I'm really excited. So, do what you got to do, but come right back because we will be back on the air, and the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is still cooking and is still red hot, y'all. We'll see you in a bit.
In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We're glad that you're back, and now that we actually got that intermission out of the way, we can actually take care of the last portion, the last segment of our show, the Q&A forum. Yes, question and answer, my favorite segment to do on this podcast, and it's amazing. And right in front of me, ladies and gentlemen, I have a piece of paper with a bunch of questions on it that were given to me by Hector. And yeah, it's a solid paper full of solid questions. And this is for the first time in a while that I can say that I'm a little bit nervous, not too nervous. I'm a little nervous because when you have people asking you real good questions, you can't help but to smile. But you can't help but to feel nervous because sometimes some of these questions are very technical. And when you have technical questions, you're like, okay, I have to, deal with this type of situation in this way, and in this way, and in this way. So we'll have to see. You know what I mean? Either way, I'm very excited about it. 7 good questions, none of them that have to do with religion and or politics, which I'm very, very grateful because you guys make it a lot easier for for us to do our jobs when it comes to doing something like this. Mainly because we don't like to talk about those subjects. It's a real bad mix. And it's one of those things where it's like, man, I just can't believe that somebody would ask me something that I feel uncomfortable in talking about. And it makes it a lot easier for us because we don't disqualify your questions. So this is good, and I'm really excited. So without any further delay, I want to get to these questions. The questions that you guys have either emailed to us, you either got on Twitter, now known as X, and you sent us a question that way, or you sent us a question through our Spotify webpage or Spotify's show page, and you dropped a private question there. So I'm very grateful for these questions, and God, I'm just so nervous right now because I'm looking at it and it's solid. It is stacked solid. It is so good. So without any further delay, I want to get to these questions. The Q&A question and answer section portion of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is now in full effect. Ding, ding, ding. The bell has rung. Let's go. Question for question. And we're going to start out with question number 1, where it asks, Kim, when it comes to creating an episode for your podcast, what is your strategy? How do you plan it out? Justice from Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, stand up. What is going on? Justice, it's really simple, bro. If I have an idea that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time and I feel passionate about it and I feel strong about it, then that's going to take a high priority, and I will put that on, from pen to paper, and then that's going to be like right there on the format, and that's going to be part of the plan. That's going to be like, okay, this is going to be the structure that I am going to create for the next episode, and we're going to talk about this. So say, for example, if I really wanted to talk about for the longest time about acting, you know, then I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. And that's going to take a high priority, if you will. Now, if there was something that I've been meaning to talk to you about for quite a while about a certain subject matter, but I never really addressed it, then, you know, of course I will put it on there as like, you know, okay, that's going to be on the episode. It was just that it was not a high priority at the time to talk about it. But, you know, it's cool. You know, I'm very happy about it. It's great. It's awesome. And the fact that, you know, that is also a part of the process, you know, we can bring that along too. Now, the only time that I never bring anything on the podcast and I never put it on like, you know, like my strategy for making that episode is that maybe either A, I don't really think about it too much, or B, it's just not important for me to talk about it or acknowledge it at that time. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't talk about it later on in a future episode. It just didn't dawn on me right then and there. So that's usually my planning strategy. If I'm very comfortable about it and I really want to talk about it, that takes high priority, and I'll definitely put that in the works to, you know, to create that episode. And second priority is that, you know, if I've been meaning to talk about it for a while and I still want to talk about it, but I never really thought about it at first, then, you know, we put it in the secondary. So there you go. I think it speaks for itself. Question number 2. Kim, when Bruce Lee was creating his own martial art fighting system of Jeet Kune Do, was he wrong with throwing away traditional martial art traditions and philosophies? Jeanette from Virginia Beach, Virginia. All right, cool. VA in the hizzy. So far, we're sticking to the East Coast Atlantic area, and I'm loving it. Jeanette, I don't know how to really answer it, so I'll do my best. I don't really want to step on any toes or anything like that, but, you know, in the sense of today, right now, you know, before I, you know, go into this question, it's not uncommon that, you know, you have a lot of martial artists now making a martial arts system, you know, actually centering it around this art and then adding this and this and this. You know, now these days, people call that, you know, being that, you know, you're creating your own martial arts system, and it could be effective as a mixed martial art. You know, when Bruce Lee was creating his own martial art, I think he was kind of like the forefather of that. You know, he was a Wing Chun practitioner, and, you know, he kind of felt like there was a lot of things that were going wrong with Wing Chun, and, you know, he wanted to create a martial arts system, a fighting system where you take all the good of each and every martial art out there without, you know, the traditional fixed positions and stances and all that stuff. And yeah, you know, it worked out. You know, he kept a little bit from Wing Chun. You know, he learned a lot from, you know, boxing, and then he learned a lot from taekwondo with the high kicking and everything like that. So, you know, when you actually think about it, you know, even though at the time that, you know, certain traditionalists thought that Bruce Lee was like, wow, you're going rogue and you're going against the grain, and, you know, you're not a purist and you're really insulting the integrity of the martial arts. Well, he made it very effective for him, you know, and it was proven, you know, with Jeet Kune Do. And at least from my opinion, I feel like, hey, you made something work, you know, and if it works, who are we to argue with that? You know what I mean? I mean, Bruce Lee was definitely a lot of things, but I think that he really hit the nail on the head when it came to creating Jeet Kune Do and you know, thinking
that this works and this works and this works and this is the reason why it works and this is the reason why this stuff does not work, and et cetera, et cetera. So I can't be mad at him for that, and I think that at the end of the day, I think a lot of martial artists should give him a lot of respect and props for just him doing what he did, and I at least from me, I tip my hat off to him, and I think that's great. So no harm, no foul on my part. I think, hey, once again, if it was proven, I don't think it's wrong. So more power to him and to the legacy. So there you go. Question number 3. Kim, I have noticed when I bought a karate uniform from the brand Proforce, it breaks apart in months. Did this ever happen to anyone that you know, or have you heard of this ever happening? Christopher from Rockford, Illinois. Christopher, it's funny that you've actually asked that question, and I'll be honest with you, bro, I've heard about this happening before. I know a lot of people that complain about that, and it's also happened to me. When I first got back into the martial arts, I bought like a heavyweight karate uniform, thinking that it would last me for a while, and it literally broke down and ripped apart in about like 3 or 4 months. And I was really ticked off about that because, a heavyweight karate uniform is very expensive. That's a lot of material. So, to actually buy something that only lasted for about 3 or 4 months, you can understand how, upset I was about that one. Same thing when I was gifted a Tong Sudo karate top, that's a part of like a Tong Sudo karate uniform. And this one, I thought it was okay at first because it seemed like it was holding out. But when I washed it, the black part of the trim kind of faded out and just washed away and stained a lot of the white. And I don't know why that happened. I really don't. I didn't put any bleach in there. I was using like regular Tide detergent, and it just faded like horrifically, and I was so mad about that. And I'm just going to say it like this: I love Proforce for their training equipment, like sparring equipment, and maybe some punching bags and so forth. But when it comes to martial art uniforms, I just don't think that they understand, how important it is to have something that has longevity. And, I swore from that point that I would never buy any martial art uniform from Proforce ever again. Now, some people don't mind buying Proforce and they love, the value of it, and more power to you if you do. But when I buy a uniform, I want it to be good quality, and I want this thing to last for quite a while. You know what I mean? So Proforce, as much as I have a lot of love for them and so forth, and what they do and what they stand for, I cannot put my seal of approval for their karate uniforms. So I'm going to have to say that that's going to be a hard no for me. That's a fail. That's an absolute fail. There are other uniform companies that do it a lot better. I would even go as far as saying uniform companies like Century Martial Arts, Macho, Sang Musa. There's Golden Tiger Martial Arts, Mutu. Mutu and Sang Musa have a sub company called Best Martial Arts, and that's even better. You know what I mean? So yeah, don't go for Proforce. I think that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. Question number 4. Kim, what is the best restaurant that you have ever eaten at? Linda from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. What? All right, eh? All right. Well, Linda, the best restaurant that I've ever eaten at in terms of quality, in terms of presentation, and everything else. And since that time, unfortunately, it closed down, so it's no longer there. But when it was there, I ate over at Morimoto's restaurant over in the Chelsea district of New York City. And if we all know Morimoto, which is Iron Chef Masaharu Morimoto, that was his flagship restaurant at the time. That was like his second one that he's ever opened. The other one was in Philadelphia. That's still in operation, but I've never eaten at that location. I ate the one in New York City, and let me tell you something. It was incredible. It's literally a walk away from the Food Network. When you come in there, it's just amazing. It sits a lot of people, like over 200 people. And when I got there, it was just, like Shangri-La, if you will. It was so beautiful. The decorations and everything were top notch. I was literally I almost wanted to cry because it was that beautiful. And I remember being there because it was my friend's birthday. We were working a promotional tour together for Tazo iced tea. And that was around, I want to say 2013, I think? 2013, 2014. I think it was 2013, I think. But yeah, I was working that Tazo iced tea promotion for the summer as an assistant tour manager, and I was taking one of my good friends who was working the same program. It was her birthday, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I will take you there and we will have fun, and it's going to be amazing, and it'll be my treat, for your birthday. And we both got the omakase, which is the chef's choice. And man, it delivered in each and every way possible. And, the way that it was presented and the way, it looked and the way that it tasted and the experience of it was quite incredible. And I understand why Masaharu Morimoto is a, James Beard award-winning chef. The way that he does Japanese food and sushi and everything like that is, really incredible. And if I ever could go back to another Morimoto restaurant, I definitely would. I think it's quite the experience for one to at least have in their lifetime to eat there, And I would love to go back. I would definitely like to go back to the Philadelphia location because that was the main flagship, the very first one, I think that he opened that was very successful and still there. And hopefully that will happen. So if you guys have the moolah, if you have the money, go over to Morimoto's now in Philadelphia, because that's where it is, and I think it's the food is just incredible. Question number 5. Kim, would you rather work a job where the pay is not the best, but you like the job? Or would you rather work a job where the pay is really good, but the job is terrible? Walter from Pontiac, Michigan. All right, Pontiac, Michigan. Nice. That's a hard question because, Walter, to be honest with you, both situations, it's kind of like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. On one side of it, you're working a job that you love and it's great, but it's not the best paying job. On the other side of the coin, you're working a job where, the pay is really amazing, but, the job is just, god awful.
if it was up to me, I'd rather work a job that I like for, the lesser amount of pay. And the reason why I say that is, having a high paying job is not everything. I mean, the only good thing about it is that you possibly may make a lot of money. That's true. But other than that, it's just another chance for people, let's say family members, to go ahead and brag about you like, oh, my son makes this much money by working over here. Oh, well, my daughter makes this much money every year because, she does this. And at that point, it's like a flipping competition. And I'd rather not be in the middle of that. I'd rather just work a job, honestly, that I know that I like, and I'm making an honest living. And if it's just not a high paying job, I'm okay with it. But at least I'm happy, and I'm not stressed out. I would feel like that I would come to work every time, happy with a smile, ready to go, and just do a good job. And, whatever pay that I get is what pay I get. If it's not high paying job, it's not the end of the world. But I would say that I, for one, personally would rather, just deal with that type of situation. So, question number 6. Kim, have you seen the new Paramount Plus series Tulsa King starring Sylvester Stallone? And if you have seen it, what do you think of the series? Sally from San Ramon, California. Sally, I have actually seen Tulsa King. And I have to say that I think it's a really well done series. There is some stereotypical, Sylvester Stallone kind of mannerisms and action type of thing going on, because Sylvester Stallone is known for a lot of action movies, in his prime. This time, however, it's a little bit more dramatic as well. So we do get to see some dramatic skills and chops of Sylvester Stallone as an actor. So we do get to see a little bit more of his versatility. And I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I believe that the new season is coming out in September, I think. So, yeah, for anybody that is a fan and anybody who has Paramount Plus, I think you definitely should check it out. Series 1 definitely set the tone, and I think it's great. I can't wait to see what season 2 will bring. So, knock on wood. Last but not least, we have question number 7. Kim, give us your thoughts on those television apps of Tubi Television and Pluto Television. Courtney from West Valley City, Utah. Courtney, I am a big fan of Tubi Television and Pluto Television. I think they really hit it right on the mark. And I say that because you have 2 different type of television apps that you can utilize on, either if you have Apple products like Apple iPhone or iPad, Apple TV. I think you can use it on your MacBook Pro, or you can stream it on any Android device, like a smartphone or a smart tablet, or any streaming box that's like Roku or Fire Stick from Amazon, or the Google Chrome Stick, whatever. Because number one, the whole service for both of them are free, and it's amazing. And number 2, they both offer great programming that you can watch, and it's great to watch it because it's like it brings nostalgia back. Like example, on Pluto TV, I'm watching Beverly Hills 90210, and I'm literally watching it like I was a kid again. And I'm watching it from season 1 all the way to the last season. It's an amazing thing. On Tubi Television, I get to watch stuff like MasterChef and MasterChef Canada and things like that, and it's pretty cool too. I think it's definitely worth your investment in just in terms of your time to go ahead and to download both of those apps for free and watching whatever programming content that both of them have. And again, it's free service, free app. It's a win-win. You know what I mean? So I don't see anything wrong with that. It's, you can't go wrong. I mean, free things aren't really bad. And at least in this particular situation, Tubi Television and Pluto Television, being that it's free, hell yeah. I'm all for it. The only drawback is, like television, you do have commercials. But if you just kind of, if you take your mind off that, then you can still live with it and it'll be cool. And you just have to think of it like, hey, it's just like regular television from way back when, and even now that you watch something, you're bound to have like a commercial or something like that. And I think the more sponsored commercials that they get, then it's easier for the service like Pluto TV and Tubi Television to have, a free cost. So that's how I feel. And that's all that we got. That's all that we got, guys. I'm really happy about this episode. It's definitely been amazing and awesome. Real quick, I do want to give you a mention here because Hector did give me a little separate piece of paper that I have to address here. We are now going to start initiating a voluntary donation thing where you can help sponsor us on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience by donating money to us. Now, again, this is voluntary, so you can do it whatever you want, but it would help us out. And the reason why we're doing it is that when we raise money, it definitely ensures that we will develop great content at a higher quality. And we feel that here at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience that we want to give you the best quality that we have for you guys. And it definitely would help out. And I feel like when people do help us out financially, it does help us out a lot. We don't have any corporate sponsors. We're doing it all on our own. But I feel like if you guys help us out and if you donate anything that you can, it would definitely help us out. All the money that we raise throughout the fundraising that that you gift us through your generous sponsorship, we will take all the costs, all the money that we raise for awesome equipment that we will need. We need to have more microphones. We'll need the cables that go along with those microphones, the XLR cables. We will need more headphones and headsets, and just general maintenance and so forth. And I think that that's very important for us to have that type of situation. Maybe later down on the line, if somebody's really generous, we might get like a new laptop so we can actually start doing our edits a little bit better and so forth, and work with more modernized computer programs rather than the ones that we're having right now. So if you can help us out, that would be amazing. You can donate any amount of money that you can via PayPal, Venmo, and CashApp. If you get us at PayPal and Venmo, you can search for us at KimHoangMDActor. That's KimHoangMDActor. If you get us on CashApp, it's $KimHoangMDActor. Once again, $KimHoangMDActor. And yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be awesome. And I can't wait for just, upgrading our equipment and making it happen and getting what we need to get. But again, if you guys can help us out, it would make it a lot easier, and we would thank you for your support. And, every equipment that we get, to upgrade helps us to get that much closer to having like flawless
flawless quality, because we owe it to you guys to give you the best quality that we can, but we can't do it without your help. So please donate any which way that you can in terms of PayPal, Venmo, and CashApp. Any amount of money will do. Whether if you donate, and I'm just going out on a limb here, I'm not expecting it. Whether if you donate $5,000, $500, $50, or even $5, every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. So, all right, let's go ahead and end this out. We're going to have some closing notes real quick. You can find us over on Facebook at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Just go ahead and write that under the search box and you'll find us. We are on Instagram and on Twitter, now known as X, where you can find us at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters. If you follow us, we will follow you back. We are on the following podcasting platforms of Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We have Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and Audible, which is the new podcasting / audiobook platform created by Amazon, which is $15 a month. If you want to sign up for a free trial membership, I think it's for 1 week, you can get a free trial membership. Please like and subscribe to our podcast show on all of those platforms. Now, do me a favor. If you have Spotify, please give us a 5-star ranking. And if you have Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star ranking and a positive written review. Because the more times that you do that for each of those podcasting platforms, then most likely and more likely our podcasts are going to be thrown right into the front of the line in Spotify and in Apple Podcasts, and people can actually look at it and they could go, that's the podcast show that John was telling me about. He said I should actually take a chance on it. I should listen to it. I should like it, and I should subscribe to it. Which, yes, to all of that, please and thank you. That would be amazing. Also, spread the word about it. You can either tell your friends or family members in person, face to face, the old school way, or you can promote us and talk about us on social media. We have the Facebook and we have the Twitter, now known as X. We have the Instagram, the Snapchat, and the TikTok. Promote us that way. It's called brand awareness. Last but not least, if you want to be a special guest or a special guest host, if you have any constructive criticism or any questions that you want to submit for our Q&A form, please go ahead and do so by emailing us the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is on the subject box, put it in. Whatever you need to write on the body of the email, write it, send it out, email it, and within a day or two, you'll get a response back, because I will read that email and I will take the time to, respond back to you, because I believe that's the way to do it. So, that being said, guys, we are running out of time. I want to thank you guys for your time. It's been an honor and a pleasure. We will continue to make great content here because it's what we love to do, and we do it for you guys. And we wouldn't have it any other way. The only way that we will stop this in its entirety is when people just they just stop being interested and they start saying that they don't want to hear it anymore. But until that time, we're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to make great stuff for you guys because we love what we do. It's incredible, and it's a good feeling. So, please be careful out there. Please be safe. It doesn't do us any good when you make the wrong decisions that unfortunately land you in a pine box and you get buried about 6 feet under. We don't want that to happen to you. We want you to be in a good position in life. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to love life because, you deserve it. And anybody else that tells you that you don't, or that you're a failure, or you'll never amount to anything,
I would just tell them, look, just because you didn't have an opportunity doesn't mean that we won't take advantage of ours. So, you can go ahead and kiss our butt and go ahead and kick rocks, and, may the realization of what you said hit you hard, and may karma go ahead and attack you in the worst way possible. At least that, and that's the evil me coming out. So there it is. I could say something a little bit more rated R, but I'm taking the high road. So, but that's all the time that we got, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we're going to do it again, coming at you live inside of the beta room in the Asian Sensation Studios in the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. This is your boy, Kim Hoang, your host with the most, the Asian Sensation, saying thank you very much. Arigato. We will do this again. I love each and every one of you guys. Please be safe out there. And let's do it again real soon. And we're going to have another episode coming soon to another time near you in the future. God bless y'all. It's been real. Peace.